Here we have a beautiful 2002 43-foot Jeanneau Sun Odyssey deck salon. With solar panels, this has both the rigid solar panels and flexible solar panels up on the top. So we'll start from the bow of the boat and then work our way back. So this boat was raced in the Pac Cup last year, so it has a lot of upgrades. We have a Rockna anchor, windlass, nice deep anchor locker, some light chain, and then a remote here. There's safety lines, and here we have 3 hatches on the forward deck, and then 3 more on the top side for plenty of ventilation. Look at the 4-spar in mast furling with quantum sails. The sails are, I think, about 2 years old or 3 years old. With the boom bang, all the lines, as you can see, run aft for easy handling. The life raft was placed on board and certified last year before the Pac Cup. So if we work our way back, we have our traveler. Nice isinglass windows that were installed about 3 years ago. Fairly new canvas, it's in excellent shape. Here we have the 2 flexible solar panels. And we move into the cockpit. I have upgraded Harkin winches with the lead furl, and they're electric. You have that on either side, slow and fast. When you're steering the boat, nice comfortable seat, loose helm for easy steerage. Your hybrid touch screen, so you have easy visibility, so you could do your chart plotting here. And this swivels, so anywhere that you sit in the cockpit, you have access. A lot of times when you're underway, you're sitting right here. For the Pac Cup, you need to have an emergency rudder, so that was custom designed and that's on board as well. I also have a list of all the upgrades and additional parts that had to be manufactured and put in place for this boat to be certified for the Pac Cup. Here you have 2 propane tanks side by side, so easy to swap out when you're underway. And then you have additional storage right here, so easy open, access to the genset controls. Additional storage in here with plenty of lines. Bit table on both sides, as well as storage right here. And additional cockpit storage here, so plenty of storage in the cockpit. So you see the teak floors are in excellent condition with the caulking. Easy access entrance. Below you walk into the galley. This is a very well thought out galley for additional counter space, for cooking, prepping, easy handholds when you're underway, so it's definitely designed for blue water cruising. A double stainless sink, refrigeration cabinet, so you can reach down below. Here we have freezer and then additional compartments, so access storage on your way. You don't have things flying around. And another wonderful asset, so you don't always have to reach in, you can get in from the side as well. So these easily collapse, so you have plenty of storage space. Plenty of place to work on the counter. Plenty of storage behind, nice and deep for your plates, cups, outlets. There's a 4-burner stove. Force 10. Additional storage underneath, as well as back here. So you can tell this boat is designed to go to Hawaii. You have plenty of lights around, so it's nice and light. A lot of people feel or don't care for the dark sailboats that sit down below the water. This is nice. And come to the master stateroom. You have a queen walk around. Or sorry, scratch that. You have a queen size mattress. Again, there's plenty of storage here on both sides. Storage under the cushions here, as well as in the hanging lockers. So full-size hanging lockers on the port and starboard side. Here you have easy access to the back of the engine, Yanmar engine. Well thought out. And then a cabinet for the controls for your solar panels, as well as your windlass and winches. So everything is easy access right here. Don't have to get into the nooks and crannies when you're underway. So for the guests, you can also access the head shower from the main salon as well. Great feature about the salon area. Again, this was in the pack cup, so they have everything that's housed right here, so you can sit on either side of the navigation table. Nice large storage area with your control panel here. You have your auto helm. It's equipped with AIS, the radio, stereo, speakers, surround sound speakers. Weekend cruising, you can fit about 8 people comfortably here, and just relax and have a good time. Below the decks, beautiful teak and holly decks, you have the water tanks as well as a Spectra water maker. Another great feature here, again, talking about the plenty of storage that's equipped on this boat. You have storage here, underneath the settee on both sides, as well as behind the settee. A lot of times when you're racing, you have a lot of crew. There's quarters here, a double bunk for your crew. This is also a manual Jasco head with a large sink, 3 storage cabinets, ocean air screens throughout the boat, including the restrooms. And the forward V-berth, underneath this V-berth is a additional diesel tank, 40-gallon diesel tank. So you can do long range if you needed to and need additional fuel versus having those jerry jugs on board. You have storage in both on the side here, as well as a full-length vanity mirror. So thank you for joining me on the virtual tour of this gorgeous 2002 Jeanneau 43 Sun Odyssey Deck Salon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, 505-554-6221. My name is Geli Burgin.
No, but I'm live. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining us on the Jeanneau 43 video walkthrough and the Hunter 49. Gailey's going to give a little bit of talk about the Jeanneau 43 next. So,
yeah, thanks for coming along on the walkthrough of the 2002 Jeanneau 43 Sun Odyssey Deck Salon. Again, this boat was outfitted, certified, and raced in the Pack Cup in 2016. It has a lot of upgrades, AIS, single side band, emergency rudder, the life raft, which you saw. Your sails are the Quantum Dacron, full mainsail, 135% on the Jeanneau number 2, and 102% on jib 3, and then an asymmetrical spinnaker as well. Great boat you want to come down and see. It's perfect for cruising up and down the coast, the Baja. weekend sales as well as racing. So if you have any questions, please give us a call at 505-554-6221.
You want to give us that phone number again, a little slower?
505-554-6221.
How about an email address?
And you can email Geli, that's Geli, at atomictunayachts.com.
All right. So, Galley, I understand that Jeanneau 43 was set up for the Transpac.
It was
No, not Pac
Pac Cup.
Cup, right?
Pac Cup in 2016.
2016. So they raced to Hawaii on it. The owner raced to Hawaii with a crew, and
Yeah, the owner, Gene Scott, with a couple of his friends, they went out and then had a great race out to Hawaii. The boat performed perfectly. And, you know, in their downtime, he and his wife, they did the coastal cruising up and down the coast.
in Hawaii,
No,
here. Yeah, and then they sailed the boat back from Hawaii.
Right.
Yeah, which is a challenging trip. I've done it a few times. It's always a challenge. So on that 43 for the Pac Cup, what are some of the things that they do for the Cup?
Well, you have to have an emergency rudder.
So that's a separate emergency rudder.
Separate emergency rudder. They had to upgrade their system, so they have the single sideband, they have the AIS. All that was upgraded in the last, I guess, 2016. They had to have the keel inspected. They updated the keel bolts. They updated the rigging and the step on this boat. So tons of additional safety equipment that they had to acquire for the Jeanneau as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I've been on a couple of Pac Cups, and those Pac Cups are fun races. You know, it's really serious. You're out there and you're surfing down 15 to 20 foot seas and doing, you know, 10, 12 knots, surfing down those waves, and you're in your shorts and t-shirt and loving life. And it's a great race, great way to get to Hawaii, and lots of fun. And you get to really get your boat ready for cruising. So this boat's all set for cruising. It's got a water maker on it?
It has a water maker, has a Spectra water maker. Actually an additional fuel tank as well. The owners had plans to do the Baja this year, but they changed plans. They're going to be enjoying life in the Pacific Northwest in the near future. So the boat is ready to go on its next adventure.
So do we have Gene Scott online? Is Gene there?
I'm here, Wayne.
Hey, Gene, how you doing?
Good. I can't show you, I have to be incognito. The backlight here in my office just makes me a black blob on video. So I'm voice only, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's cool. So everybody, we got a little treat right now. We got Gene Scott. He is the owner of the Jeanneau 43. He's joining us. And Gene, what do you like most about that boat?
Oh, wow, Wayne, that's a great question. And how long do we have?
We
Actually,
have till, we got 20 minutes.
Yeah, I could fill up 20 minutes, I think, just answering that question alone. But several things. First of all, as Geli said, it really is a great performing boat. So even though it's set up as a very comfortable cruising boat, the hull used on the 43 it's a fast, slippery hull, so you get great performance from the boat. Down below, boat is extraordinarily comfortable, and in Geli's walkthrough, she referenced the berth cabin, the bunk cabin, and that's actually my favorite cabin on the boat when we're offshore. Set up for with lee claws and so forth, and that was my favorite berth going and coming from Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a nice cozy cabin for you to hang out and sleep and be comfortable.
So the boat took good care of us. As folks who followed the Pac Cup in 2016 probably remember, it was actually the most challenging Pac Cup in terms of weather in the history of the Pac Cup. And Agasea and her crew were given the Pac Cup Seamanship Award at the end of the race.
Tell us
And
about
this
that.
ties into another feature on the boat that Geli mentioned, but I want to highlight for you. And that is the additional diesel storage that the boat has. And briefly, what happened, a J boat that was one of the serious racers, we were in the cruising racing division, had serious structural issues with their boat and had to motor into Hawaii. And so we were the only boat around, number one, and the only boat, number two, that had sufficient diesel that we could meet up with them and transferred about 40 gallons of diesel to them. So they had the ability to motor into Hawaii.
Yeah, so even though you were a sailboat and not allowed to use your engine, you had that extra diesel aboard and you helped these guys out and you made the transfer out at sea, which is quite amazing.
Yeah, it was really, it was an amazing thing because the weather was still pretty challenging. But for in less dramatic situations, Geli mentioned we were set up to go to the Baja Haha. And so with plenty of fuel, number one, plenty of electricity because it has new batteries, new gel cell or AGM batteries, and the solar panels, about 580 watts of solar panel power, and then the Spectra water maker. You can stay in Mexico or anywhere you want to cruise for as long as you want and be very self-sufficient. So I guess those are a few more items that I would add back to the question that you posed at the outset. What do I really like about the boat?
Yeah, so on the battery storage and the solar, can you stay on the hook and just run off solar?
Well, yeah, the boat, I won't say it's a power hungry boat, but anybody who's cruised significantly knows that refrigeration is, your big energy draw. The reefers actually in the freezer on the on Agasea are pretty well insulated, but we would on the Pac Cup, for example, we would be able to go for about 3 days with before we'd have to use the engine for recharging, the battery, and that was refrigeration and autopilot, because autopilot drove the boat virtually the whole way there and back. So out on the hook, without pulling, autopilot power and so forth, yeah, you could easily pull down, you could go for a long time. And as long as you had sunshine, stay ahead of the refrigeration.
Yeah, solar panels are getting so inexpensive these days, and they're so efficient. And the AGM batteries, you don't even have to maintain. It's just great combination, rather than having a generator and all the noise and oil and stuff. Running off solar panels is definitely a huge benefit. So, Gene, tell us about sailing the boat. What kind of speeds do you see, and what's the boat like?
Well, as I mentioned a few moments ago, the boat is actually a good performer. She's a fast boat. we for the bay, for example, in the summertime, we switched down to the number 3 jib to the 100%, 102%, as Geli said, and that that works well in the bay. It's easy to overpower the boat, and Geli also mentioned the main. Main's a full vertical batten quantum main, so it carries about 15% more roach than just a standard battenless main that came stock with the boat. So so as a consequence, we do pay attention to the old sailor line of when you think you should have reefed, you're probably a few minutes too late. So
Right.
so she performs very well, and but we don't need to canvas her heavily to make her go. Sailing in the coming back to the Pack Cup and my reference to the challenging conditions that we had there. One of the things that people often talk about is how squirrely boats can get, especially when you start reaching, if you're doing off the wind reaching, in terms of the autopilot driving the boat. And as I said a few moments ago, the autopilot drove the boat, I don't know, probably 95% of the time, all the way to Hawaii. And we didn't have any drama as far as how the boat, the boat tracks and so forth. It was very well behaved. So kind of gave us a real test that the boat's a stable boat, good tracking boat, well-mannered boat when you're out in big ocean, big water. And we had, believe me, big water.
What were you seeing for wave heights out there?
Oh, well, we had the first 3 or 4 days out of San Francisco, which are always in the Pack Cup, typically the more challenging time. We had 20-foot waves consistently.
Wow.
When we were coming to the aid of the J, I think it was J1. I think it was J120. And we were still about 500 miles out of Oahu, and when the J would go down in trough of a swell, what we would see would be the top half of the J's mast. So so that was, and those were the benign conditions. So one of the one of the really great things, coming back again to the question you posed about how the boat performs and what she likes to sail, is my crew for the Pack Cup was my wife and a good friend of mine who sailed with me a lot, and his wife, and then a relative of theirs. So we had 5. It was a good sized crew, and no one ever felt that the boat was not going to take care of us. We had the kinds of challenges and things that happen on any kind of major offshore trip occur, but the boat, no one ever felt any sense of dis-ease, if you will, about how the boat was taking care of us. Did a great job.
Yeah, so that boat has twin wheels,
Single wheel.
single wheel, I'm
Single wheels.
sorry, and not really nice sized cockpit. So what's your typical day hanging out, while you're out cruising in that cockpit?
Oh, well, the cockpit is is a benefit of the boat because it is spacious. So sitting out at anchor, for example, like going over to Clipper Cove, which is one of our favorite things to do in the bay, and hanging out there, and so the cockpit seats are fairly long. So just my wife and myself, you can stretch out in both sides, grab a book, nice adult beverage. So so for I think of Mexico, for example, because both we were set up to go to Nahaha twice, and unfortunately, life got in the way of both of those.
Yeah, that happens.
But I've been on the Nahaha 3 times, and so I fantasize about how great that boat would be as a haha boat, because great cockpit to hang out when you want to be on the hook at some of those great anchorages on the Baja side, and then of course we're very comfortable down below, kind of as Geli showed. They're nice down below spaces as well.
So how was it, Jean? How was it cooking down below?
How's it cooking?
How was the cooking, and when you're on doing the Transpac? Because there's a lot of space down there. Did you feel safe? Was it easy?
Yeah, well, in the Pack Cup, to be quite candid, we didn't cook a whole lot for the trip out, because it was just simply a challenge. It was just too much of a challenge. Now the Galley is, I would say, frankly, I don't want to sound like I'm now being a critic of my boat, but for serious conditions offshore, my former boat was a Cal 39, so it had a much smaller galley, and we sailed that boat to Mexico several times, and being able to wedge yourself between the companionway and the galley with a galley butt cloth,
Strap.
was very secure for this boat. And again, we have the what's it called, Wayne? Put around your butt and attached to the
A galley strap, or
galley strap. Yeah, obviously we had that, and so of course the stove gimbals, and often it was at a really dramatic angle, but given the conditions that we were in, we did all the things that we were comfortable doing, and the galley served us pretty well. The refrigeration really worked well for us, and we had, like many cruisers do, we'd made a number of frozen entrees beforehand, and so then it was a matter of popping those in the oven. It's got a nice, it's a great oven that you showed on the walkthrough in Force 10, and so that worked out well. So it's a great galley for cooking, but I don't think nobody was doing a whole lot of cooking, I think, on that particular Pack Cup.
Yeah, it's a little different when you're racing and you're just focusing on racing. Although one pack up I did, I was a chef on the boat, and we had a full-on turkey dinner for the halfway party. That was a bigger boat.
We had plans, like not quite a full-on turkey dinner, but our halfway point, we were still rocking and rolling.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
So Geli had mentioned some of the things that you did to the boat for the pack up. You got anything else you want to fill in on that?
Well, it didn't mention the Iridium Go satellite setup, and I won't belabor it. People who are not aware of the Iridium Go, they can easily Google it and get information on it. It's absolutely a fantastic piece of gear that links up with your cell phone. It's got a dedicated Iridium antenna, external antenna, which is really critical if you want all-around, all-time access to the Iridium satellite. So, so that was one of the things that I would want to emphasize. We've already talked about the electrical power and the charging capability, but for offshore work, if you have those times when the sun isn't cooperating with you, it also has a 160 amp, obviously very high output alternator for those times you have to use your engine, and then you can throw a lot of power into the battery. And the thing about the emergency rudder that Geli mentioned, and I just want to expand on that a little bit, because that's a really big deal.
It is a big deal
for a boat like Agasea, for a boat like the Jeanneau 43. You really have to have a very robust and custom emergency rudder mechanism. So Scanmar, which makes the emergency rudders, the MRUDs, Scanmar came and it's a fully custom, very beefy emergency rudder setup. Disassembles and is carried in the V berth under the V berth's cushion, and that's for anybody who is going offshore and so forth. That's something that can provide great peace of mind. Off chance something bad happens to your rudder.
Yeah, and hopefully nothing does, but if it does, it's nice to have that for sure.
Right. And then the other things that that Geli's mentioned, the for the pack cup, having the ability to take showers and not have to worry too much about our water usage, because the Spectra Catalina Mark III water maker was churning out water and doing it very energy efficiently, as it's rated to do. That's absolutely one of the most wonderful things I've ever experienced on a boat. And then the other safety gear, so the single sideband, I've already mentioned the Iridium, the AIS with it's a Vesper AIS system with a display at the nav station, and then of course you got a display on your nav plotter as well. So to do serious offshore work, really what a person would need to do is a few kind of minor safety additions. You'd have to have your own emergency wire for your VHF and so forth.
Yeah.
You know, a few little things like that. Make sure the flares are updated, and boy, away you can go.
So if somebody's out there looking to go cruising to escape this COVID issue that's going on, they can just buy this boat, put their clothes and food on board, and basically take off. Not much to do, right?
That's the way I'd characterize it. She is about as ready to go as any any vessel that you probably find, and would take excellent care of whoever's aboard.
Yeah, you know, we're getting a lot of calls from people that are looking to go cruising, and this is just a really sweetheart boat. What's the asking price on it, Geli?
The asking price is $149,000. Our boat show special for the weekend is $145,000.
Yeah, so give us a call on this boat.
Did you have a chance to talk about the convertible forward berth?
Oh, Galley, thanks for mentioning that, because that is a feature that I have to confess I've not ever tried, but one of the unique things about this model, and I should say maybe as a parenthesis that the SO43 the deck saloon was done in two versions: a charter version, which had laminate and so forth, and then the owner version, which is what this is, which has the upgraded, it has teak and it's gorgeous finishes throughout. And one of the unique elements about this particular model, and there were three of the saloon model, is that by removing a couple of bulkheads there at that berth cabin, and moving the bulkhead that opens into the V berth, move that forward to connection points that are right behind the compression post. The V berth and berth cabin transform into a huge stateroom forward, which then would also have an ensuite head, because of the forward head is now part of that cabin. So the bunk berths fold down to become a 6-foot plus settee, and then the V berth, of course. So it becomes if there were like two couples, for example, who wanted to go do some extended cruising, I don't know, they might end up having to fight about who gets that forward cabin.
Yeah, it turns into a nice guest salon.
Yeah, it would be really something. I've not done it. The instructions in the owner's manual are very explicit. It says in the owner's manual you can knock it down and reconfigure in about 30 minutes, maybe after the second time you did it.
So, Jeannie, talk to us about the aft stateroom.
I'm sorry, Wayne?
Talk to us about the aft stateroom.
Well, absent the use of the forward area as this massive cabin, as I just described, the owner's stateroom is typically the aft stateroom. As Geli showed in her walkthrough, it has a huge berth. It's certainly queen size. I don't know, might even be a tad larger. There's capacious storage on either side of the berth, and then there are two hanging lockers on each side, and then access to the main head from the aft cabin Also in the main head, I don't know that we saw that on the walkthrough, but there is a separate stall shower, very large shower, separate shower. So the aft cabin is well, it's just very, very spacious. And for those who might be thinking about long-term cruising, there's an immense amount of storage in the boat, probably too much because, you know, you can get carried away and drop it on the waterline another inch or two. But for example, under the aft cabin berth, the forward part of that is about a third is where all the battery banks are. And then the latter 2/3 has storage underneath where you can put those things that you don't want to access very frequently, but you want to certainly have on board, you know, your spares and so on and so forth. So the aft cabin is a great place to rest and reflect on your great cruising at the end of a cruising day, or when you're enjoying yourself at anchor on the hook.
So you mentioned spares. Are there any spares on the boat?
Well, yeah, they're probably the most significant spare is there's a complete Type 2 autopilot drive, Raymarine autopilot drive. There wasn't anything wrong with the one that's original for the boat. It came with the boat when I bought it. However, I'd heard so many horror stories about you know, autopilots crapping out during during offshore cruising or offshore racing that I decided, well, I'm going to have a spare. So for the Pack Cup, we put a brand new drive unit on, then sent the original one to Raymarine. They went through, refurbished it. Everything was great. Actually, they upgraded some of the gearing inside from what had been plastic parts to metal parts. And so now there's a complete backup Type 2 drive unit. There's the boat's loaded with flares and there's a backup alternator. If anything ever happened to the big 160, there's a 70 amp backup that's available. And for the water maker, there are enough spare filters and pickling solution and so forth to keep folks underway for quite a while.
That's great, Gene. We really appreciate you being with us for the boat show and going through Agasea with us. We're excited to have that boat as a listing. And like Wayne said, we have a lot of interested buyers and looking forward to the outcome of the boat show and continue to show that boat and get in a contract for you.
Hope that's the case. Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Geli.
Thank you too, Gene. And if you're a buyer on this boat and you want to ask Gene questions, you know, contact us and we'll get you in touch with Gene, and Gene will fill you in. He knows this boat inside and out, and it would make a great cruising boat. Time to escape this stay-at-home orders and get out there and go cruising. So, Geli, you want to wrap up on this boat?
So again, it's the 2002 Jeanneau 43 Sun Odyssey deck salon. We have a boat show special pricing of $145,000. So if you're interested, please give me a call. It's 505-554-6221. Thank you.
All right, and next we're going to go to the history of Catalina. So Fairlawn Yachts has been around San Francisco for 40 some odd years, 43 years. Pat Garfield's owned it for 23, 22 years. They've done a great job as a Catalina dealers up here. And we're going to run a little video for you on the history, and then we're going to interview Pat. So she's here in the studio today. So let's go with let's start off with a video.